The story of America is not written by one hand or one generation. It is written by countless leaders who rose in moments of courage, crisis, and creativity to shape a nation unlike any other. From the birth of freedom to the battles for equality, from industrial revolutions to digital innovation, American leadership has transformed not only this land, but the entire world. Today, we honor the greatest American leaders of all time, men and women from politics, the military, civil rights, business, and culture, who defined what it means to lead with vision, conviction, and heart. When we talk about the foundation of America, we begin with George Washington, the soldier, the statesman, and the soul of the Revolution. He led a ragtag army to victory against the greatest empire of the 18th century, and then, instead of seizing power, stepped away to ensure democracy would thrive. Washington's humility and wisdom gave life to the idea that power must serve the people, not the other way around. Following him, Thomas Jefferson penned the words that still echo across generations: all men are created equal. As the author of the Declaration of Independence and the third president, Jefferson envisioned a nation of thinkers, farmers, and dreamers guided by liberty and reason. Then came Abraham Lincoln, a self-taught lawyer from Illinois who would become the savior of the Union. In the darkest days of the Civil War, Lincoln carried the weight of a divided nation on his shoulders and delivered its moral compass with the Emancipation Proclamation. He reminded America that equality was not a privilege but a promise. His leadership was born not from wealth or birthright, but from a profound empathy for ordinary people. He once said, "Government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth." And through his sacrifice it didn't. As America entered the 20th century, it needed bold leaders who could modernize a growing nation. Theodore Roosevelt charged forward with unstoppable energy-breaking monopolies, protecting workers and preserving national parks. He believed that leadership was about action, not talk. Then Franklin D. Roosevelt took the helm during the Great Depression, restoring hope when banks collapsed and families starved. His New Deal lifted millions from poverty, and during World War II, his steady voice united America and its allies in the fight for freedom. After FDR came a new generation of leadership that looked to the stars. John F. Kennedy inspired Americans with a simple challenge: ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. He believed in courage, service, and innovation, igniting the space race and the spirit of public service. Decades later, Ronald Reagan would reignite faith in American optimism, championing economic freedom and helping to end the Cold War through diplomacy and resolve. And in the 21st century, Barack Obama broke barriers as the first African-American president, inspiring millions around the world with his belief in unity, equality, and the power of hope. But American leadership doesn't live only in the White House. It thrives in the hearts of those who fought for justice, equality, and human dignity. Martin Luther King Jr. stands as one of the greatest moral leaders in history. With his dream of racial equality and nonviolent protest, he turned pain into progress. His voice in the March on Washington still rings with truth that character, not color, defines a person's worth. Beside him stood Rosa Parks, whose quiet defiance on a bus in Montgomery sparked a revolution that shook the conscience of a nation. Frederick Douglass, born into slavery, rose to become one of the most powerful voices for abolition, his speeches filled with thunderous truth. Susan B. Anthony fought tirelessly for women's right to vote, proving that leadership knows no gender. Eleanor Roosevelt, the First Lady of the world, championed human rights long after leaving the White House, shaping the Universal Declaration of Human Rights itself. Malcolm X spoke unapologetically about dignity and empowerment, teaching generations of Americans to never accept injustice quietly. Leadership also comes from the courage to defend a nation. In the crucible of war, America's greatest military minds forged the path to peace. Ulysses S. Grant led Union forces to victory in the Civil War, ending slavery's hold. Dwight D. Eisenhower commanded the Allied invasion of Europe, leading to the defeat of Nazi tyranny. Later, as president, he warned against the dangers of excessive military power while building highways and education systems that strengthened the homeland. Douglas MacArthur's boldness and strategy helped secure victory in the Pacific during World War II, while Colin Powell, as a soldier and statesman, became a symbol of integrity and principle in modern America. Beyond the battlefield and politics, the American spirit of leadership found a new frontier in innovation and enterprise. Henry Ford revolutionized industry by making the automobile affordable for ordinary families. He didn't just build cars, he built opportunity. Steve Jobs reimagined the future of technology, transforming phones, music, and computers into extensions of human creativity. Bill Gates, through Microsoft and his global philanthropy, reshaped how the world works and connects. Warren Buffett proved that business success could coexist with humility and generosity. And Elon Musk has pushed humanity toward the stars, driving breakthroughs in space travel, electric cars, and renewable energy. Each of them reflects a truth about America, that progress begins with a dream and the courage to pursue it. Leadership also lives in culture, in the people who touch hearts and minds, who give meaning to life beyond politics or profit. Oprah Winfrey rose from poverty to become one of the most powerful media figures on earth, using her voice to inspire self-belief and compassion. Walt Disney taught the world to dream without limits, building a universe of imagination that continues to bring joy to millions. Muhammad Ali fought both inside and outside the boxing ring, standing tall for his beliefs even when it cost him his career. He showed that real champions fight for something greater than themselves. Bob Dylan, with his lyrics of rebellion and hope, became the poetic conscience of America during times of turmoil. From the founders to the innovators, from soldiers to civil rights champions, every one of these leaders shared a common trait: they refused to accept the world as it was and dared to imagine what it could be. George Washington built the nation's foundation. Abraham Lincoln gave it its soul. Martin Luther King Jr. gave it its conscience. Franklin Roosevelt gave it resilience. Steve Jobs gave it innovation. Oprah Winfrey gave it heart. Elon Musk and Bill Gates gave it the power to dream bigger than ever before. What binds them all is a deep faith in the American idea that leadership is not about command, but about service. It's not about being perfect, but about striving for progress. These leaders faced failure, criticism, and doubt. Yet every time the nation needed courage, someone rose to meet the challenge in battlefields, in boardrooms, in classrooms, in marches, in labs, and in front of microphones that moved the world. Today, as we reflect on these extraordinary individuals, we are reminded that leadership is not a title, it's a legacy built on vision, compassion, and action. Each of these leaders, in their own era, answered the same timeless question: how can I make America better? Their answers shaped the destiny of 300 million people and influenced billions around the world. The greatest American leaders of all time were not born great. They became great by serving a cause greater than themselves. They taught us that liberty is fragile, equality must be defended, and progress is never automatic. It demands courage, creativity, and unity. They showed that leadership is not confined to the halls of power. It is found in every citizen who chooses to act with integrity and purpose. So let us remember their names not as history's statues, but as living examples of what America stands for: freedom, innovation, compassion, and unbreakable hope. From George Washington to Abraham Lincoln, from Franklin Roosevelt to Martin Luther King Jr., from Theodore Roosevelt to Barack Obama, from Eleanor Roosevelt to Oprah Winfrey, from Henry Ford to Elon Musk, they all carried one torch, one dream, one nation forward. May their courage inspire the next generation of leaders, not just in America, but around the world to believe once again that the power to change history still lies in the hands of those who dare to lead. Top American political leaders: George Washington, the first U.S. President and Revolutionary War hero who set the foundation for American democracy. Abraham Lincoln led the nation through the Civil War and abolished slavery with the Emancipation Proclamation. Franklin D. Roosevelt FDR guided America through the Great Depression and World War II. Thomas Jefferson, author of the Declaration of Independence and visionary for individual liberty. Theodore Roosevelt, progressive reformer, conservationist, and trust buster who modernized the presidency. John F. Kennedy JFK inspired a generation with his vision of progress, space exploration, and civil rights. Ronald Reagan revitalized American conservatism, boosted the economy, and influenced the end of the Cold War. Barack Obama, the first African-American president, known for healthcare reform and inclusive leadership. Civil rights and social justice leaders: Martin Luther King Jr., icon of the civil rights movement and advocate of nonviolent resistance. Rosa Parks sparked the Montgomery bus boycott and became a symbol of courage and equality. Frederick Douglass, former slave turned abolitionist, orator, and statesman. Susan B. Anthony, pioneer of women's suffrage and gender equality. Malcolm X, powerful voice for black empowerment and social justice. Eleanor Roosevelt, human rights champion and reformer who redefined the role of First Lady. Military leaders: Dwight D. Eisenhower, supreme Allied commander in WW II and later U.S. President. Ulysses S. Grant, Union general who led the North to victory in the Civil War and later became president. Douglas MacArthur, WW II Pacific commander and Korean War leader, known for his bold strategy. Colin Powell, influential general and the first African-American Secretary of State. Business and innovation leaders: Henry Ford revolutionized manufacturing with the assembly line and made cars affordable. Steve Jobs, co-founder of Apple, visionary behind the iPhone, iMac, and digital innovation. Elon Musk, innovator in space, SpaceX, clean energy, Tesla, and technology frontiers. Bill Gates, co-founder of Microsoft and global philanthropist. Warren Buffett, legendary investor and symbol of ethical capitalism. Cultural and inspirational leaders: Oprah Winfrey, media mogul and philanthropist who empowered millions through storytelling. Muhammad Ali, boxing legend and activist who fought for justice and identity. Walt Disney, creative visionary who built a global entertainment empire. Bob Dylan, voice of a generation, influencing American culture and politics through music.